Hi, this is Zach and Lukasz again. Last time we talked about Code4Z in general, and from now we would like to focus on each extension individually.
So why don't we start with my extension?
Brilliant idea! So first to clarify, you are product owner of two projects, Explorer for Endevor and Bridge for Git. Explorer for Endevor is part of Code4Z,
Yes.
and Bridge for Git is rather a standalone application. Both of them are supposed to help you to access the code on Mainframe, which is the first task of the development lifecycle as we talked last time, right?
Exactly. So you see why it's a good idea to start with me.
It makes perfect sense. So please, how can you access the code from VS Code in Mainframe?
All right, so there are two main ways to access code from a Code4Z point of view. First of all, if you want to access Mainframe datasets and USS files, submit and view the results of jobs, you would use Zoe Explorer.
Okay, I know this one is part of Code4Z as well. You can submit JCLs and you can do the basic operations over the file on Mainframe.
Exactly. And then the other way to access code is specifically the extension which I work on, which is Explorer for Endevor. So for developers who have their source code in Endevor, this is the extension they would use.
So let's start with Endevor. I know it's written differently. It's missing A in the name, and I guess it's not a typo.
No, that is actually by design. Endevor is an acronym which stands for Environment for Development and Operations.
All right. So it should have been called DevOps or something like that.
Yeah, Endevor is actually one of the original DevOps tools, we like to say. Of course, 40 years old. Of course, today it would probably be called something like Endy.
Endy. And you can have Endy on your phone, like app.
Well, in some ways you can access Endevor from your phone today.
That's true, because you can access Code4Z from web-based browsers, so you can run it in your browser, so you can have it on your phone. It wouldn't be probably too much handy in the end, but in theory it's possible.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, among the things that we're working on, not necessarily for Explorer for Endevor, but in other teams, are an effort to have things like, or parts of the process in Endevor be available in your mobile phone, like approvals for moving code up the pipeline.
Okay, so there will be such an application.
Yeah.
Will it look like Tinder? Like swipe right to approve and swipe left to reject?
Anyway, Endevor, you were asking what it is. So Endevor is an incredibly customizable version control tool which developers work on source code, and Endevor actually manages the whole life cycle of that code from initial edits all the way up to deployment.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes. An Endevor in speech, indeed.
But still, can you simplify it for me, please?
Yes. Endevor is an SCM with a full-powered CI/CD with an integrated API and CLI.
Awesome, even more acronyms. I love it. So how can your E for E fit in?
All right, so Explorer for Endevor started as, well, what the name implies, an explorer for code in Endevor. You could connect to Endevor via the web services, which is the REST API, and view your inventory.
Like a file explorer, basically.
Exactly. But then everyone told us we want to edit. We want to be able to go in there and not only see what code is there, but edit directly.
So are they now able to edit in VS Code?
Yes. So now in Explorer for Endevor, you can not only view the inventory location, you can get comprehensive information about the code, the elements, as well as the location, and then you can edit directly. You can also generate, which is a kind of compilation.
Nice. So is there anything you miss?
Well, as I said before, Endevor is infinitely customizable, and so everyone has different workflows. So we get requests to support different parts of those different workflows, and we're only starting to scratch the surface.
Please tell me three things that you're working on.
Okay, so first is workspace sync, which kind of provides developers with a Git-like experience inside the extension.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
So it means that instead of just editing individual elements, developers can say, hey, I want this inventory location, and I want to connect it to my workspace, and then make changes, nice. And only once I'm really confident, then I would synchronize them back to Endevor. Nice. Yeah. The second one actually has to do with another part of the process. So when you're editing elements, you want to be able to specify processor groups, which are kind of instructions on how it should be compiled. And so we're providing support to edit those.
So those processor groups are used for generate function?
Generate, yeah. Generate, compilation. Generate is the official Endevor term. Finally, we are developing support for packages.
Are you making underwear? Or?
No, we're not making underwear. Packages are a part of the code promotion process in Endevor.
Okay. Now I feel much safer about you giving me a demo.
Indeed.
Okay.
All right, Lukasz, let's take a look inside Explorer for Endevor, inside of VS Code itself. And actually, to start, I want to show the walkthrough. Each of the extensions in Code4Z has a walkthrough that will take you through the basic steps to getting started. For Explorer for Endevor, you can see there are several things here. First of all, finding Explorer for Endevor in the tree view, and then connecting to web services. Here you see there are even GIFs to kind of guide you through what steps to take. Following connecting to web services, there's search for elements. This is opening the tree and going into an inventory location that you want to use. And then there's generally how to use Explorer for Endevor, for which you can use the command palette, and it will actually give you other walkthroughs that we include. In general, with Code4Z, we encourage you that you go through the walkthroughs because they are the ideal place to start. Moving out of the welcome screen now and actually going to the extension, you can see that I have this tree view at the top, and here I have two connections, one that's called API ML. If I hover over this, I can see the particulars of the Endevor Web Services instance that I'm using, as well as what kind of authentication necessarily. In this case, I'll be working with the demo connection, which points to a particular web services instance. I actually already have a location or an inventory location defined. Here you can actually see the particular configuration of web services and some information about the recent actions that were done and the CCID and comment that I have specified. I'm going to click into this inventory location. It's going to make the request to Endevor to get the elements. And then inside I'll see the structure. I can see the types of elements that are present in this inventory location. I have some COBOL programs. If I go into the element types and I hover over a particular element, you'll get in-depth information about the change level, where it resides, but also things like the last action CCID and the processor group name, which are helpful for developers because they may need to work with or search for those respective fields. I can also right-click and do View Details, which shows the information and shows additional information actually for each element. If I just click on the element, this will do what's equivalent of a browse operation in Endevor, and I'll see the metadata information as well as the change levels, and then of course the content of the element. In my case, I want to go through a little edit scenario so you see what that looks like. If I right click on the element, I'll do edit, and rather than that browse behavior that we saw before, we'll actually edit or enter an edit scenario. And here you can see that because I have Code4Z, I also get the benefits of COBOL LSP. So for this particular COBOL program, I have highlighting and I can track variables and everything else. For the purpose of editing, I'm just going to add just number 2 to this comment, and I'm going to save. And when I save, this is the moment when Explorer for Endevor will try to sync my change that I just made back to Endevor. First, it will ask me to enter the path where the element will be uploaded. It's pre-filled, obviously, because in general I want to sync it to the same location. Then I need to add a CCID, so CCID is z-test in this case, as well as a comment, just calling the z-testing. And when I hit enter, this is when it's actually uploading the element to Endevor. So if I do a refresh of the tree, we can see that with the element, we actually will have a new change level. So if I print this again, you see that now we have change level 108, and this is that simple change that I made, and we will find the number 2 at the end of that comment. So that's a simple edit session in Explorer for Endevor. You see that you can quickly get into your inventory location, find an element, and then take action. While I can see the change levels inside this browse element equivalent view, I can also take advantage of the element history in the tree. So if I refresh this, for this particular element, it's going to actually open up the different change levels. And so if I click into one of these, what I will see is what was changed with each change level with highlighting. So you can see that there's a new line added. And I can also see for each of these who did it. So there's the username and the time or the particular day, as well as the CCID and comment. So I can easily track down the respective change levels in this history view. Quite handy, especially when you're working with particularly old elements or parts of applications. Just a couple of other things to highlight in terms of the location. I have this subsystem Dagos and the types of elements here. These are all residing at that entry stage, dev entry stage, but maybe I want to see what's actually up the map, in which case I can go to the root or the inventory, and I can click this up arrow to show elements up the map. And what that will do is for each type folder, I'll now have this map selection, and if I open this, I can see that there are some other elements or some other COBOL programs, for example, that exist in prod 2. Maybe they're just meant to be there, but maybe I'm meant to make a change that corresponds with the Dagos element that I changed earlier. So what I could do is take advantage of some of our generate actions. In this case, because they're up the map, I could do generate with copy back, generate with no source, or I could even generate the elements in place if needed. So there are a number of ways not only to find the elements that you want to work with just within your inventory location at an entry stage, but you can even populate that dev area with elements from up the map by using this generate with copy back. So that's a brief overview of what I can do inside Explorer for Endevor. And I hope that you will all take advantage of the extension, the walkthrough to get started, and then start playing with the whole full offering inside the extension.
And get reports about what actually happened at the time of the failure. And
Sorry, don't crawl.
didn't see him. Didn't see him.
Because it's mostly peripheral vision. I saw him go down and then I lost sight of him and I saw this arm go up and I'm like, good grief, what the heck?